All right, everybody, how's it going? Hope you guys are all having a great week. Wish you all the best in the days to come. I got a little light here, so hopefully it shines on me a little bit and makes the lighting a little bit better. Obviously, still playing around with this. Once this video goes up, I'll reevaluate how everything looks and see if I can make any changes to the studio. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about UFC 263 this weekend, this Saturday. It's going down, and I haven't been this excited for fights in a long time. I'm excited for the fights every weekend, but this weekend's extra special. The card's completely stacked. 2 title fights, 2 rematches, and obviously the return of one of MMA's biggest superstars, Mr. Nate Diaz. So I'm just here to break down the card, kind of give you my picks, my predictions, and talk about some of the fighters. We're going to start with the prelims first because they are stacked to the gills. Bottom one right there. Evloev versus Hakeem Dawodu. Big fight in the featherweight division. Both men are recently ranked, I believe. And this is a really big fight. Hakeem Dawodu was supposed to fight Shane Burgos. That fight got changed, unfortunately for him. I believe he's on a 5-fight win streak right now, 5 or 6, and he's definitely deserving of a ranking, and he's definitely deserving of a top opponent. And the undefeated Evloev definitely gives him that opportunity to get a nice undefeated ranked fighter, and it should be a fantastic scrap. Honestly, I don't know which side to lean on, but I will go with Hakeem for this one. He's been rolling, and he hasn't really shown a ton of weaknesses outside of that first fight in the UFC, which was a quick submission loss. So, and to be fair, I believe Evloev went to a split decision with the now recently retired Nick Lentz in his last fight, so I'm going to have to go with Hakeem on that one. Next fight, arguably #1 contender fight in the women's flyweight division, Lauren Murphy versus Joanne Calderwood. This is an important fight because Valentina, as it stands, has essentially cleared out her division for the time being. Obviously, talks of her and Weili are no longer happening because Weili lost her title. Tatiana Suarez says she's making a comeback, maybe going to try out flyweight. That will be, she deserves a top 5 right away because she's an absolute beast. So it'll be great to see in here again. But this fight, Lauren Murphy, Joanne Calderwood. Honestly, I'm going to have to lean Calderwood on this one. I do feel bad because I believe she did have a title fight booked with Valentina and it fell through. She lost her opportunity. She decided to take another fight in the meantime, which she lost. So hopefully a win here over Lauren Murphy gets her a title shot, and hopefully they can run that fight back that she kind of does deserve since it was booked already. Next fight. A rebooking of Eric Anders, Darren Stewart ended in a no contest. This one, I believe, it says it's at light heavyweight, so they were at middleweight before, now light heavyweight. I know Eric Anders bounces back and forth, and he had a pretty hot rise in the UFC. He ended up main eventing against Lyoto Machida in what was a very fast rise to the top of the UFC and into kind of the top-ranked fighters, but now he's had to take a little bit of a step back, and he's still kind of picking his weight class. I know he likes middleweight. I think it's a huge weight cut for him, and I know light heavyweight. The issue is that there's a 20-pound gap between those two, and he's one of those guys that kind of fits right in the middle there. That would be better off if there was a division someplace in the middle. Darren Stewart, obviously a monster, pretty underrated. He gave Kevin Holland a really tough fight. And as far as this one goes, I'm going to lean towards Eric Anders simply because he has the experience at light heavyweight. He's done a few fights there in more recent memory. I believe Darren Stewart's only really fought at middleweight. I do think Darren Stewart's underrated. I can envision him getting it done, but I'll take Eric Anders for now because of the experience managing the light heavyweight weight limit. He's fought there. He's a little bit more comfortable, so I'll lean him in that one. And then the prelim main event, Drew Dober, Brad Riddell. This is a fantastic fight. Brad Riddell, extremely underrated. He's getting a pretty big opportunity here against Drew Dober, another guy who's arguably very underrated. And it's a really tough one. The issue for me is I'm still skeptical about Dober. I think that he's got a little bit of work to do. Obviously, he is underrated. He's a great fighter, but I don't know where to lean on this one because Brad Riddell also hasn't proven himself against the creme de la creme of this division. So I will go ahead and lean Drew Dober for this one. Not saying Brad Riddell can't get it done. I can also envision him winning that one. But as far as picking a victor, I'll go with Drew Dober for that one. Now we'll make a quick little change over to the main card here, which is obviously stacked to the gills here. So first fight opening up the main card, Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. The odds on this one are a little bit wild, in my opinion. To be fair, I think it's discrediting Paul Craig's skill set that he has. Obviously, his jiu-jitsu is great, his striking's TBD. But Jamal Hill, all in all, I think deserves, like, he needs to prove himself a little bit more, and this fight's a big stepping stone. The odds are crazy. I'll go Jamal Hill, but closer than the odds would make it seem. I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Craig could pull off a submission here. That remains to be seen. But yeah, I think the odds are a little bit too much in favor of Jamal Hill, who hasn't really proven himself quite yet. But obviously a great prospect and in a division that is full of interesting fights right now. Next up, Damian Maia versus Belal Muhammad. Again, odds are very much so in Belal's favor. Fair enough. He's the younger guy. He's rolling, aside from the main event against Leon Edwards. That was an unfortunate eye poke, not his fault. Nothing he could do about it, but he was losing that fight. Let's make that clear. That eye poke made it so that he didn't get a loss there. Leon Edwards is obviously proved that there's a pretty significant gap between the top 5 and the top 10 of this division. Damian Maia recently saw his 3-fight win streak halted by Gilbert Burns more than a year ago, and a year is a long time when you're on the wrong side of 40 to be fighting. Damian Maia is my second favorite fighter. I've supported him for a very long time. It was tough to see the slander and the slack that he got after losing to Woodley, Covington, and Usman. At that time, the 3 top guys in the division, the champ and 2 number ones. The past 3 champs of the division, the champ in Woodley, interim champ in Colby, and official champ in Usman. So I think that his slander, I was always defending him. He obviously went on a big 3-fight win streak. He beat Lyman Good, he beat Rocco Martin, and he beat Ben Askren before he lost to Gilbert Burns. So I don't think it's a question of, like, he's winding down. This fight might be his last. It's either 1 or 2 more, he said. But we'll see. Belal Muhammad is a guy who, likes to pressure, likes to get in your face, and I think if he gets too close, Damian Maia will snatch him up and get the submission. So I will go Damian Maia because he's my favorite. A bit of a biased pick, but I think that he can get it done on the mat. If it goes to the mat, he can get it done, and hopefully he's still quick enough to snag some takedowns on Belal, and if not, he's gonna have to figure something out. But he usually does. If he gets a hold of you, the night's usually over. Then a special, I believe, still 5-round fight. I don't know what they're going to call it or what they're going to explain to the people that are watching at home, that this is not a main event or a title fight, so it should be 3 rounds, but it's not. It's 5 rounds, which I love. I think they should do it more often. So it'll be interesting to see how they explain it on the broadcast. But Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz, 5-round fight. Obviously, those odds are every day I come back and check, and they're going more and more in Leon's favor. And that's fair. I mean, Nate Diaz is a total gangster. It's awesome to see him in the fight game. Anytime this guy fights, you should be watching it because you don't know how many more you're going to get to see of him. But it's great to see him back, and he's getting a top welterweight contender. And in my opinion, it's just, at this time, it's just a mismatch. It can't be told any other way. Nate Diaz is a huge name and a huge superstar, so that's why he can say, hey, I'll fight this guy, and I give him props. No one's out here calling Leon Edwards' name, and no one is going to say, hey, he said, if I don't get the biggest fight, I want the toughest fight, and this is the guy who's doing all the winning, and it's true. Leon Edwards on a 9-fight unbeaten streak. He hasn't lost in 9 fights, and so yeah, he is doing all the winning, and he for Leon, who I like him a lot, I feel really bad for him, and I think that he's getting disrespected. For him, you're taking on a superstar, and if you beat him, now all of a sudden more people know your name, and you might be able to get that title shot. So until Colby versus Usman is booked, I'm hesitant to say that they'll go with that, because if Leon gets a win here, which he probably will, you don't know what to do, right? And I don't think he would have to fight another fight. The thing about the welterweight division is that they're in a logjam because Leon, if he wins, will be there, or Nate will be there. If he wins, Colby's there, and Burns and Wonderboy are fighting in July. And if Wonderboy wins, he'll be there for the title shot. So could have anywhere from 2 to 3 fighters who are ready for a title shot, and Usman can't, keep up with that. No fighter can. His claim about him being the most active guy in the division, true, but it's fair. You have to be when you're the champion, and you got people who are on these massive win streaks that deserve title shots. So we'll see what happens with that one. I'm assuming Leon will get it done pretty easily. I can envision another form of, doctor stoppage in the later rounds if Nate just continues to take the punishment, because I don't know if Leon has what it takes to put him out, but we'll see. We'll see what happens on the night. It'll be a great fight. Now we're on to the title fights, the co-main event here. Deiveson Figueiredo rematches Brandon Moreno in what was one of the fight of the year contenders last year. This comes off of each of them having fought 3 weeks prior. So they fought at 255, UFC 255, and then 3 weeks later fought in the main event of UFC 256, I believe. So I do believe that does change the dynamic a bit, that they have the full fight, because Figueiredo has a lot more weight to cut than Brandon Moreno does. He seems to have gotten his weight under control. Obviously, if he can make it back-to-back in a span of a month, make that flyweight limit twice. So good for him. And I think that obviously it's going to be another great fight. Moreno's not going to give up easily, but I do think Figueiredo will be able to get it done. Moreno's as tough as they come. He shows up to fight, and he's really hard to get out of there, but Figueiredo is... he's got insane power, and obviously he proved that he can go the full 5 rounds, no cardio issues. So I think with a full training camp this time, and it not being the second fight in 3 weeks for both of these guys, I think that benefits Figueiredo more than it does Moreno. So I'll go and still on this title fight. But I like Moreno a lot, and it would be great to see him win. I think he's a really cool guy, and he's a great ambassador for the sport to not be the stereotypical fighter type, and to be a world-class martial artist. So I respect him and I like him a lot, but it's going to be a great fight. And then in the main event, Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. This one, Adesanya's a pretty sizable favorite, rightfully so. He's never lost at middleweight, and in my opinion, the Blachowicz loss, people should go back and watch that. I honestly, those 4th and 5th rounds were clear for Blachowicz, but they're not 10-8 rounds. Let's get that clear. I'll probably make a video on that, on the 10-8 round at some point on the channel. But those aren't 10-8 rounds, those 4th and 5th rounds. And I think that he arguably won the first 3. So it all depends on what you say. But all I'll say is the judges' scorecards were whack for that, and he doesn't deserve the discredit that he's getting for having lost that fight. So we'll see. Vettori's a tough test for him because Vettori is huge. He's monstrous. He probably weighs closer to 210 in the cage on fight night, which is a massive, massive guy. And Adesanya better have his wrestling shoes ready, because you know that Vettori's going to come in there and try and do that. You know that he's going to try and do that. And Izzy says, and rightfully so, Izzy says, hey, so has everyone else. Everyone I've fought, they think they can just take me down and beat me. Like, good luck doing it. The only guys who's done it is Blachowicz, who's been, way bigger than him. So a bit of a mismatch in the weight department. But still, I think that Izzy gets it done here, and I don't know how. I can't call for a finish of Vettori. I don't really think he'll be able to get him out of there, but I see a 5-round decision, this time potentially going Izzy's way, because if I'm Vettori, if Izzy can stop those takedowns, he's golden. His striking's light years above Marvin's, and he should be able to do really well in that department. So anyways, it's a fantastic night of fights. I look forward to coming back and making another episode when they're all done and doing a little recap. But yeah, as far as this goes, it's looking like Anne's still across the board, and I'm hoping that Leon Edwards gets it done as well. But anyways, great night of fights. Thanks for joining me. As always, subscribe if you want to see more content, and hit me down below in the comments section if you'd like to talk. I'd like to talk to any of you about martial arts. That'd be great. Thanks.